welcome everybody on the live stream. This is round number 4 of the Teesside Karting Sprint Series, and it is a pleasure to be back. Myself, Chris McCarthy, and David Sullivan back again to commentate on the action live for you. And as you can see, for the first time this season, we are in very, very wet conditions for qualifying at the moment. That is junior pro karts which are on the track at the moment. We have just had our qualifying for the Lambinos, and it was Edward Hayes who went to pole position. So a fantastic job from young Edward Hayes, who is set fourth in the championship at the moment. But this is junior pro kart, and leading the championship at the moment, David, is Alexander.
Yeah, two clean sweeps in round 2 for Alexander. 3 heats and a final victory puts him clear at the top of the championship from Harry Wilson, who won the final in round 1. Mason Barker rounds out the top 3, and those 3 have so far this season running at the head of the field. Everybody else trying to keep onto the back of them, and it is Alexander who currently sits at the top of the pile in his wet qualifying section from Mason Barker and Callum Booth, who just as we see goes fastest. So he goes to pole. Alexander demoted down to second, with Barker not unable to go any quicker in third. Asher Blythe running superbly in fourth place from was Jack Morris, but now Kieran Lambert. It's changing with every second as the water gets moved away off the racing line and drivers improve. With drivers just under 6 minutes of the session left to go. Looks very wet on that top end of the circuit. The drivers battle for track position. The 71 there of Brandon Jennings on 3, followed round. That's the number 12 who...
Oh, that's a spin, isn't it? There, that is the number 12. Is that
Thomas Braid?
Yeah. Just caught that puddle on the inside. I'll tell you what, David, you've raced around here surely in the wet and at some point. Talk us through the lap from the start of the lap. Talk us through how difficult it is.
Yeah, the Oakley season started off with a damp track in December. When it stops raining, it dries out quite quickly, especially around the top end. But at the moment, I think the rain is still coming down. It's very tough, especially towards the bottom end. Far harder down that bottom end to gain some sort of grip in the wet. I mean, not so much with wet tyres on, but later on in the day when the senior pro karts come out, they run mandatory slicks no matter the conditions. So there'll be varying lines in that one for looking for grip. I mean, you can see on that corner there that Alexander and the 13 of Callum Booth, who's got the fastest 6 so far, running round in tandem. There is a clear, dry line, but it is right round the outside of that bottom corner. Some drivers could in the inside. Alexander and Booth choosing to go round the outside, but we have a change at the top. There's 4 minutes left. It's Mason Barker, who's your new provisional pole sitter, by 3 tenths of a second from Booth, and Alexander another 10th back.
That's big for the championship, Mason. I know we're only at round 4, but Barker third in the standings at the moment, so it's very good for him to be at the top. These 2 that we're looking at on screen, Alexander is third, and then behind we have Booth in second. So Booth, this is a good place for Booth to be, isn't it, Dave? Because just being able to follow the lines of Alexander, see breaking points, just being able to judge that and able to assess his lines off the back of that.
Yeah, but having said that, Booth is quite far back coming down the back straight and looks very strong in that bottom part of the circuit. He's right up on the back. And they swap places and then swap back. And the bottom end of the circuit is a strong part of the Booth. As he drops back in this section here, I think, from Alexander. I think Alexander gets a good drive out the corner. Especially this hairpin, I think it'll open out a lot.
Yeah.
But then you'll see as they come into that bottom corner, there's probably 5-6 part lengths there at the moment on the on circuit. I think you'll find that Booth now excels towards the bottom end of the circuit, especially around that bank corner. He seems to get a lot of grip, especially into the complex. Right now, onto the back of Alexander, he'll close right up again, a lot of grip in that 13 kart. Superb by Booth on that bottom end, and this is your top 3. Let's see if either of these Booth and Barker at the top. Not so far, there's nothing to be done.
Brady, Vallejo, Jennings, Spears, and then we have O'Connor and Ballesteros, and 44 seconds in the field, something you certainly wouldn't see in the dry conditions, but the wet conditions, the field becoming a little bit more spread out here. However, the top six are within 1 second of each other, and I think we will see some close racing. Vallejo there has hit a personal best in 8th place. Lambert likewise 4.8. Spears breaks into the top 10, going past Jennings. So 1.5 seconds back. Good time there from the number 17. Final minutes of this qualifying session for the Pro Kart. Not a lot of time now. They'll be about to start their last laps, and that is when you've really got to give it everything, isn't it, David?
Yeah, 64 seconds. The guys on the screen that we're seeing in a minute will probably get 2 laps in maybe, and I think these are the final ones over the line.
That looks to be the 42 of Jacob O'Connor, so he looks like he's going to get 2 stabs at this to move himself up from 12th. But generally there's very little movement towards the front. Drivers are lapping now with the weather conditions around about 3 or 4 tenths off what they've been doing, and that's consistent throughout the field down to the around about 7th or 8th, where there has been a couple of changes in the last couple of laps. But with 20 seconds left, it looks like the 2 that are coming up and over the line at the minute, which is the 12 and the 42 Jacob O'Connor. There's 11 seconds left. There's maybe one more will get over the line and get another chance. That's the 24 coming over the line of Jack Morris. He's going to get another try. But as the checkered comes out from the start line, Marshall, it looks to be the end of the session, the final try for everybody. Booth coming over the line now. And no Booth, change from Booth. He stays second. So Barker and Alexander, no change. So Barker looks like he could be your provisional pole sitter so far in this session. Blythe coming over the line. No change, I believe, from Blythe. That's the top 4 set. Barker over, no improvement.
Yep,
Morris looks to be the only one that could maybe break into the top 3, and he's going to be the final one over the line, so we'll wait as he comes round. No improvement from Richardson in terms of position on the grid, although there's possibly a slight improvement in time. 42 of O'Connor, he comes over the line. No improvement in time, but nothing on track. Morris is your final one over. No improvement from Morris, and that looks to be your grid set with Sandro Ballesteros in the pits. He'll start towards the back of the field. So Mason Barker will be your pole sitter alongside Callum Booth on the front row. Championship leader Aaron Alexander will start on the second row and have a little bit of work to do this time round. Asher Blythe with by far his best qualifying performance so far this season in 4th place. That's an excellent effort from Asher Blythe, and I imagine he'll be very pleased with himself with a 4th. Jack Morris alongside Kieran Lambert will be row 3 before you get Jake Richardson, Christos Vazeos, Thomas Braid, Owen Spears, Brandon Jennings, Jacob O'Connor, and Sandro Ballesteros, who didn't get too much running in that, ended up in the pit lane, and unfortunate for him, he'll be starting towards the back of the field and have a lot of work to do to come through the pack.
Yeah, well, that's the end then of Junior Pro Karts, and there you can see the drivers just coming in to be weighed at the moment. We did have someone get in touch online, and please do send any comments and questions in for us. Question coming in, have we missed the Bambinos? They were out first, and we did just come on air just towards the end of that session. So if you have just tuned in, then Bambinos have already completed their qualifying session, and it was Edward Haynes who took pole position. So a fantastic performance from Edward Haynes.
Obviously an early start today, weather conditions necessitating a slightly earlier start, so unfortunately missed the Bambinos on the live feed, but important to get drivers out with the weather conditions. It's a tougher day. Obviously takes a little bit longer to get them off the track once they're round with the slightly slower lap time, so important to get them going, but there'll be plenty more opportunities to see the Bambinos later on in the day, with 3 heats and finals for each class today in the normal running order here at Teesside Karting. So we'll start with Bambinos before Junior Pro Karts. Cadets, who have just left the dummy grid for their qualifying session, are out next before we get the 2 strokes, and then we finish off the cycle with Senior Pro Kart and then we'll be back onto the Bambinos.
Oh, we got some contact on the opening lap before the first laps have even started. Now, the 22 was involved in
22, Jared Fox-Whiteley on the grass as they...
I didn't catch the other one.
Looks like they entered the back straight.
That was perhaps just a bit of confusion there, and it led to some contacts, but no damage to either car, it seems, and they'll both get going again, hopefully without any problems. But cadets are out there, tricky conditions for them to deal with this morning. While they are just getting up to speed, David, I guess we'll do our usual and have a look back at what's happened so far this season. Yeah,
well, largest grid so far of the season, I believe, with 18 cadets signed on, so a superb grid for them. Your championship leader, keep an eye out for him, is the number 66 of Oliver Buckton. Final wins in round 1 and 3, put him at the top of the championship. In second place is the 99 of Alexander's Mallard, who won the final at round 2 in superb fashion and provided me with what I felt was the race of the day that day. It was a superb final, and the cadets are never short of entertainment. 16, the David Mack, who currently sits fastest on track at the moment. He's third in the championship from the number 20 of Catherine Potter, who last time out had quite possibly her best performance of the season, qualifying on the front row in second place, and then with heat performances of a third, a second, and a win in the final heat, before unfortunately having an incident in the final, finishing down in 14th. But superb from Potter. Last time out, she really, we've always spoke in the times that we've been here for the first 2 rounds that her one-lap pace has been fantastic and maybe just lacked a little bit of consistency. It looked like she got it together, and unfortunately we missed it because we weren't here. Potter superb at the last round. But with 5 minutes left now of qualifying, it's the 23 of Charlie Wyatt, who we've not seen so far this season. First meeting, I believe, at Teesside, and he's gone fastest with a 54.760 in front of Mack and Buckton, the top 2. 81 of Ethan Gerling, first meeting as well here at Teesside. He's just gone into the top 3, just 2.5 tenths off the back of just behind Mack, 2.5 tenths off the back of Wyatt at the front.
That's a good start to the session there for Gerling, and we've just had Barker Dix just come up to 10th place from the back of the field, so a good lap put in there by the number 27. We're looking at the number 11 on screen at the moment, which is Mitchell, and we got the number 50 in chase, which is Mentier. So we'll have a look at how they get on. Potter has just gone up to 7th place with a 55.9. We can see the number 88 of Wilson coming through screen at the moment. Mitchell up to 7th, Potter up to 8th. So a couple of changes down the lower order of the top 10. No change at the top of it though. Wyatt with a half a second gap.
Yeah, another fastest lap that time round by Wyatt, really pushing the gap out to Mack in second. If you're on pole and you can go quicker, it certainly sends a message out to the rest of the field that you're certainly enjoying the wet conditions.
You know, that's one of the challenges, is you don't really know how far behind. Oh, and a bit of a spin there from the number 88 of Wilson. So we'll get going again, and still has a couple more laps to try and improve. But you don't really know what's going on when you're in a qualifying session. You may know from practice a rough time to beat, but that's about it. And I certainly know that Wyatt, with a 54.4, will know he's doing pretty well. But I guess I don't know how well Wyatt will know he's doing just yet. And we've got another stopper there, someone else facing the wrong way. It just shows how hard they are pushing, and not only that, David, how hard the conditions are at the moment. Yeah, well,
you've got to appreciate that cadets in their first year, this might be the first time that some of these drivers have raced in the wet. And it is far harder than what people would imagine when you're on something that doesn't weigh very much, and circuit's very slippery, and if you're not familiar with wet conditions, it is a case of trial and error. And sometimes if you're lucky enough to get behind another driver that's more familiar with the conditions, you'll be able to pick up the lines that they're doing and learn as you go on. But it's in race conditions, especially qualifying and then race conditions, it's a steep learning curve for some drivers, as we've got 3 of them battling for track position to try and get out on track. So that looks like the 88 of Isabella Stanmore Wilson with the two front runners of Buckton, who is currently fourth, 16 of Mack, who runs second. No changes again on track in the last couple of minutes. Seems to be a very familiar trait so far. Quick times at the start and then a couple of minutes lull before the drivers get back into it in that last couple of minutes and push again. A yellow flag on the start straight. There is the 99 of Mallard is round on the start straight. He's back going again and joins back in with a minute 40 left. So he'll get another couple of attempts at it. But certainly that puddle that you can see there on the live stream on the inside is causing some drivers some issues as to whether they take it fully. But it can get very slippy, especially on the concrete on the inside there. Some drivers straight through it, some drivers round the outside.
Well, maybe why we've seen a couple of spins, particularly towards drivers down the back of the field, just getting caught out by that. I think you picked up pretty much spot on there with how we are seeing no real improvements in times towards the end of sessions at the moment. Any idea why you think that might be?
Not particularly, actually. It's a tough one to call, but it's been a common theme so far. 3 sessions in, that there's been a lot of drivers out early, and then they drop, maybe a second off of their pace, and then try and pick it up towards the end of the session. But it does seem like the early times, as Buckton disposes Girling into the top 3, so he'll run third at the moment. Girling down to 4, so we do have one change towards the top. Mentier comes round, stays 7th, but improves time slightly that time round. As we get 20 seconds left of the session, there's only one car maybe down the bottom end of the circuit that maybe might get round just in time, and that is the coming round now, wide line round. It's the 47 of Reese Peniston, so they'll get another lap in. A couple more coming round. 3 seconds, they've just missed out. This is their last time round. No improvement for Barker Dix, no improvement for Isabella Stanmore Wilson. There's 3. I think the first one might have just made it over the timing line of that 3. As everybody comes round, Buckton now, front runner. No improvement, stays in 3rd. Same for Mack, he'll start 2nd, so it looks like Charlie Wyatt, unless somebody pulls a time out in the remaining few seconds of the session as the checker is now out. Looks like it could be Charlie Wyatt in his debut meeting here, we believe, at Teesside Karting, who will start race 1 from pole position. Mentier moves into the top 5 with a superb lap of a 55.259. And that looks like there's a couple more coming through, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to challenge the top, so it looks like it will be Wyatt who will start from pole position. Fox Whiteley is the final one over the line, but I think he thinks he might have already taken the checker the first time round, so taken a slow lap round and no improvement. So it'll be Charlie Wyatt on pole position alongside David Mack. Championship leader Oliver Buckton will start on the inside of row 2 alongside Ethan Girling. Lizzie Mentier, by far her best performance in qualifying, will start 5th alongside the 18 of Maximus Shields. Gracie Mitchell and Bella Franklin, an all-female 4th row, will start 7th and 8th from Hudson Barker Dix alongside Catherine Potter, and that is your top 10. Alexander Mallard, your 2nd in the championship, starts well down the field in 11th, having come into some trouble in that session with at least one spin we saw. He'll start alongside Jared Fox-Whiteley. Harry Berryman, another normal front runner, will start in 13th alongside William Robinson. Lewis Mallard, Oliver Watson, Reese Peniston and Isabella Stanmore Wilson will round out your 18 on what is the largest cadet grid we've had here so far this season.
Well, there were some improvements on the final couple of laps with Buckton, Girling and Mentier all improving towards the very end of that session. So although we did... Oh, and there's number 23. White perhaps knows he's on pole position. A little bit of a celebration to the camera. But there were just a few improvements towards the end there. So a couple of drivers pulling some times out of the bag there, which is good to see, where others couldn't. They were able to find just a little bit of time around the circuit, which we continue to see getting worse and worse in terms of conditions at the moment. The rain still continuing to fall here at Teesside. We're going to go into our next session then, which is going to be senior two-stroke, and they're coming out onto the circuit now.
Yeah, I think as with previous meetings, I think senior and junior two-stroke will be running together in this, and I think the weather conditions might be a leveler in terms of a little bit of power on that, but we'll keep an eye out. I think we've got 6 or 7 drivers signed on for two-stroke today. I think we've got 3 in senior. I think maybe 5 in the in junior that were on the sign-on sheet at the start. So we'll keep an eye out as to who's out on track at the moment.
That's more than 6 or 7, then, isn't it?
It's
that
8.
Equals 8. So, maths not very strong.
Yeah.
But were you trying to count them, and then you forgot to count the one at the back, or something like that?
Well, I think we've only got 6 out now, but there was certainly 8 signed on the sheet. So we'll try and find out who's missing. You got away with that one then. You got away with it. But 2 strokes out on the track at the moment. And 2 strokes, always very good to watch in wet conditions. So looking forward to this one. Racing is going to be very, very interesting indeed. Now, is there a different approach, would you say, David, that has to be taken in the 2-stroke class around here in the wet to our Pro Kart class? To be
Junior
fair,
Pro Karts?
well, they're looking at the lines down the bottom. They're pretty much taking a dry line round with the extra power they've got and the groove tyres as they're running on wets as well. The 77 of Jude Cole running round at the front of the pack, he seems to have some superb wet pace. Currently almost 3/10 of a second fastest as he sets his fastest time so far. 2 strokes, I believe that they get a 10-minute qualifying session for theirs, so they're going to have another 8 minutes in order to put some times on the board. Cole is your early pace setter from Alfie Lindsay and Daniel Kell. Andy Ambrose in the 44 from Ben Fuccini and Jay Smith. They're your 6 drivers that are out on track at the moment. I think Max Prentice was signed on, but he's certainly not out on track. I don't know if he's missing completely today or just missing the qualifying session. I imagine we'll see if he's with us for Heat 1.
Yeah, but fingers crossed he is, because he's had a fantastic season. He's been our top junior driver so far, with Jude Cole next along. And it is Lindsay who's actually leading the times at the moment, 52.345 from Cole. And then we've got Ambrose, 3rd place, from Kel, Fuccini and Smith. So looks like we've got 6 drivers, in fact, out there at the moment, setting some times. Yeah, Ambrose, of course, one of our senior drivers.
Kel as well in the 89. He's the other senior that's out there. The other 4 will be running as juniors. But there doesn't appear to be. It appears the juniors are finding the pace, certainly in the wet conditions, negating the power difference really that the seniors will have. And it is Lindsay who's the pace setter so far from Cole.
And we've got a spinner there to just to the right of our pictures. That gets going again, and it looks as if Lindsay is just bringing down the times here. Now a 51.456 we are down to in terms of time.
Yeah,
Ambrose chasing him down though. Just 1.2 seconds back. Ambrose has had some good performances this year. Put on some pretty good racing. It's a shame we don't have separated grids like we usually have. It's a shame we don't have enough of that, because there has been fantastic racing, hasn't there, from our 2-stroke grid so far?
Yeah, it's been superb. Ambrose has been quite unlucky at some meetings as well. He's been involved in a couple of incidents that
I think I recall there was back at round 2, I think it might have been, we had that incident over at the left-hand hairpin coming towards the final chicane, where 2 of our leaders had a bit of a coming together, and Ambrose was one of them, unfortunately. And
I think
when we had a change for lead right at the end.
Yeah, one went down the inside as we've got somebody backwards. I think that could be Jude Cole.
Was that Lindsay? We'll have a look, but when they get going again, perhaps it was. Well, whoever it was will be glad we weren't quite able to pick out the number. But there's going to be plenty more of those as we go throughout the day, should the conditions stay as they are. And we've got a couple of Minimax drivers as well, it appears, in Ficini and Smith. So we're going to have kind of 3 races going on in one here, 3 races of 2.
Yeah, I think Smith and Ficini, I think they had a great battle at round 1, and they are going around the track together at the moment. They spend a lot of time with each other on track, these two, and they obviously they do like to battle it out. As even in quali there, I think that's the 4 of Ficini going down the inside of Smith. I imagine that's compromised both of them's lap time, but with 4 to go, they'll be looking to clear their own space, and as Smith follows him through, let's see if either of them improve this time round. No improvement for either of them, and once again it's the middle of a session lull, as drivers can't find anything better, as we do have another spinner down the bottom.
That's our Minimax drivers racing already, or
I think
having
that could be Smith round this time. It is in the number 3.
That's a shame, but I tell you what, this is the time where you want to have a few spins. It's probably a good thing. You know the limits now, and you'll know that when we get to racing. So qualifying is your chance, especially when we have a grid like we do now. Just find the limits everywhere, have a couple of spins if needed, and just know where it's too late to brake.
Certainly,
and,
well, there was
too much
Ambrose
speed
there
to take
on the stream pushing as he came out of the final hairpin, the 4th of the hairpins that we've got here at Teesside. Sideways on the way out, getting on the power a little bit too early maybe, but finding the limit as Kel takes a wide line round the hairpin, which obviously gives him a good drive down the straight there as he pushes away from Cole. The yellow is out on the start line. That's away again. And
is that Smith coming into the pits? I
believe so. I think he was wide, and I think the marshal gave a cautionary yellow just to let people know that he was coming in there. So there is 5 out on the track at the moment. Smith back into the pits following his spin earlier,
Cole.
But that's Cole down the inside of Kel. Kel back down the inside of Cole as they come. So that's 88. Cole is a senior. 77 of Cole. He's the junior of the two. So it looks like Cole certainly gets a good drive round the corner, and Kel's got a bit more power coming out. So these two battling for track as they go. Different lines for both of them as they follow themselves round. It's Kel with a much tighter line this time, and Cole taking the wide line that Kel took last time, as they each try out each other's lines there to see if any of them can improve. But with 2 left, it's been the lull doesn't look like it's ending for these in the 2 strokes. It's as you were with Lindsay at the top, from quite comfortably as well from Andy Ambrose. There's quite big as they go side by side again there, Cole and Kel. Kel with a lot more drive out the corner, obviously, in the senior, and he's away again. Luckily, these two don't seem to, even though they're taking lines and crossing over a lot, don't seem to be compromising each other's sessions. Up there goes, I think Kel's backed out there and let the 77 of Cole through to give him a little bit more.
I think it's worth, the number 89 of Kel was doing the right thing. It just slowed down. 77 of Cole is not backing out of this fight. Let him go, and then just give yourself some space and try and set a better time in the 1 minute and 45 seconds we have remaining here at Teesside in this 2-stroke qualifying session. After this, we will go into our senior pro car. And you've spotted something there, David?
Yeah, I think the camera just caught a spinner going up the banking towards the bottom end. That's somebody in the Tony Kart livery. Round the bottom end. It could have been Ambrose.
I think it would.
Quite possibly. Let's have a quick look. I think he's got a blue number board on.
Let's have a look, because whoever it was, I think, quickly got going again.
I imagine he tried a different line round. No, it's the 89 of Kel.
Yeah.
Apologies for Ambrose for putting a spin on him there, but it was Kel. I think he might have tried a different line round that bottom corner, because it's not a usual place to spin mid corner round that bank, but he was certainly facing the wrong way, and probably just about stayed on the tarmac. I think the bank of the track might have helped him stay on it. I think if that bottom corner was flat, he might have been on the green stuff.
We're into the final 30 seconds now, and Alfie Lindsay has just done a 50.716 to go 1.6 seconds quicker than anyone else. Fantastic driving this from Lindsay, and there he is coming through picture now. What a fantastic drive so far. Ambrose is second, Cole third, Kell is fourth, then it's Ficini fifth, Smith is sixth, and that looks like Prentice has joined the party right at the end of qualifying just to put in a mandatory lap or so. But the flag is now out, David, and Kell is going to be fourth at best.
Yeah, no improvement that time round for Kell. And as we watch for drivers now coming round to see if they can dispose Alfie Lindsay at the top, but it's going to take something rather special as he's currently got a gap of 1.66 seconds. Prentice has just gone over and his one lap has put him up into second place. That's a superb lap by Prentice. Welcome to the party, Max. 52.344 puts him on the front row. You can only imagine what he could have done if he'd put a few more laps in, but that's a superb effort for a one lap super pole effort, really, with what one effort at it is. We spoke earlier in the session as to how good Max really is, and I think that just really shows. If he gets one chance and puts it on the front row, that's superb.
Show off. That's just showing off.
But to run through your grid then, it will be Alfie Lindsay, who was superb in his own right there. He'll run on the front row alongside Max Prentice. Andy Ambrose, Jude Cole will start on the second row. Daniel Kell alongside Ben Ficini on row 3. Jay Smith who came into the pits early and couldn't have a chance to improve his time beyond halfway in the session. He'll start 7th on the grid of 7. I was right earlier when I said I think there's 7.
You got there in the end. Well, there we go. He can count. Just. Senior Pro Karts are going to be out next. Welcome to live stream if you are joining us this morning. This is the Teesside Sprint Series, round number 4. Coverage being brought to you live by Alpha Live and NRG Cycles. I'm Chris McCarthy, David Sullivan alongside me. We're back after missing a round. Andrew Mather doing the duties last time on the commentary, but you're going to see a lot of karts now, and here they come, and count them through, and someone's made a fool of themselves by going round at the first corner, and we're going to pick out who that was and embarrass them over the PA as well, and that was the number 26 of Mark Mitchell. So well done,
Mark Mitchell of series sponsors
NRG Cycles.
They're giving himself a cycle of going round and round as we go off. So obviously wanted to increase his own exposure for the company there. Good morning to Mark. Superb effort as we start off, and you will notice out on track it's a little bit more tentative for Senior Pro Kart. Senior Pro Kart run a mandatory slick tyre no matter what the conditions, so it is down to driver skill. There is no wet tyre, no option for a wet tyre. It's dry tyre only, so you will see drivers locking the wheel round as they go into corners, letting it slide as they go into corners and just waiting for it to grip. It's a completely different way of racing to what you'll have seen in the first 4 sessions today of qualifying. It will really, really hopefully mix this grid up a little bit, because so far in this session, in this series, it's been the Conor Lucas show really, with 3 rounds in, 3 final wins, 9 heat wins. It's been unbeaten so far, barring one qualifying session last time out where Josh Fulkus, who's second in the championship, pipped him to the pole by 0.013 of a second. So we'll see how Connor fares in the wet conditions this time out. Keep an eye out for the 113 of Ben Fallon. I think he's out on track at the moment. He's running 3rd in the championship from 31 of Scott Tate. Brandon Truman Reddish in the 151. Keep an eye out for him. He's got a bright orange and white helmet. Keep an eye out for him. He's 5th in the championship. But Tate, the 31, is your provisional pole sitter so far with a 101.908.
Well, David, I've got to ask, as I said, they're on slick tyres. It's what they have to all go on. It makes it extremely difficult, but everyone's in the same boat. How do you tackle the Teesside circuit when you're out there on the slick tyres? It's got to be very, very difficult in these conditions.
No different to anywhere else, really, but obviously down, as you noticed, at this bottom end of the circuit, there is a definitive dry line right round the outside of hairpin 4, and you will find some drivers will stick right to that, some will cut on the inside and hope, but there'll be an abundance of lines today. You'll notice that some drivers will go wide and cut in, some drivers will cut in tight and then go wide. So you may see, especially in a race conditions, a lot of crossing over of drivers. One will go down the inside, one will cut back in, as your two championship protagonists at the moment of Fulkus and Lucas run side by side round the bottom bend.
And that's exactly what you said. One cut in, one went wide.
Yeah, Lucas early into the apex ran wide, Fulkus wide into the apex, cut back in. A change of track position there, and you'll see that a lot if the weather conditions maintain wet today. I mean, there's really only one line through this chicane, so everybody will be back in for that. But then as you open out into the hairpin, like out the window, you can see some drivers go in tight. I can see Danielle Gardner going in tight, and there's a kart just behind who's just got it sideways. Other karts going in now, going for the middle of the track, some going right round the outside. So you will see drivers taking different lines, and hopefully some of the puddles won't play so much of a problem with the drivers on their slick tyres. But you'll notice, especially as they come out of corners, a lot of drivers may get a little bit sideways as they scrabble for grip. Lucas there taking a huge chunk of inside curb.
I mean, is this going to be where the show ends for Lucas in terms of his unbeaten form? It's got to be a good chance of it. Nothing against him, but if he's going to get beaten, surely the chance is going to come in wet conditions.
Well, certainly, because he's been
he'll disagree with that
so far in the dry conditions, and it's currently the 974 of Sam Harris, who we haven't seen so far this season here at Teesside. He sits on pole, and it's another half second on pole that he's dug out on this one. And
fantastic stuff.
With 5 left, it's Harris, Lucas, Tate, and Fulkus as your top 4. Mitchell making amends for his spin out of the off the dummy grid, sits in 5th, which is a superb effort. Mick McDonald, first time I believe we've seen him so far this season. He's running up in 6th as Harris goes even faster, but it's Lucas who now takes Harris for pole. Connor Lucas is your provisional pole sitter so far, wet or dry. He knows how to put a lap time in when it matters.
Well, you were saying we don't even know if he was out there for practice, but Connor Lucas, when the clock starts running in qualifying, he is always going to be at the front, if not second so far this season, and that was only on one occasion last time out. So it's Lucas, Harris, Fulkus, McDonald, Tate, your top 5, then Dodson, Mitchell, Barker, Gardner, and Reddish, Brown, Nichols, Jackman, Tate in the 81, Brewis in the 5th, in the 80 is 15th, and we have Brown, Mitchell, Richardson, Wood, and Lowe rounding out your top 20. This is going to round out qualifying before we go into a break and then go into our first heats. And maybe then we might see the track looking a little bit different, who knows. But just under 4 minutes to go, and we've got changes near the top. Brown has just gone up to 3rd place, and the gap to Lucas has closed. 0.042. Fulkus is closing in, wants another pole position this season off the back of taking pole last time. Lucas is in a little bit of traffic at the moment, and it's all about track position, isn't it? Especially in these conditions.
I think so. You've got 26 karts out on track on a 1 minute lap. You've effectively 2 seconds per kart if you space them out evenly as they go through. I think weather conditions wise, I think the rain may have eased quite a lot. I think there's 1 or 2 spots coming out in the puddles that we can see, but there's certainly now a clear line on the inside of as they come over the start line there. And that was a puddle only a couple of sessions ago. I think the 2 strokes have certainly helped clear that off, but it certainly helped out the pro kart lads as and lasses as they come over there. Some of them are going wider and clearing an even wider, drier line as they come over there. But so far, very little change with 2.5 left. It's Lucas from Fulkus as I think Lucas has battled his way through what was a stream of traffic. A lot of traffic in that mid-pack there, and there's a yellow out for somebody at the bottom end. I think it was could have been the 80, I believe, of Brewis round just as he came out of the chicane after the start line.
Jackman's coming to the top 10, by the way, in the 117 last time around, just past Gardner and Barker. So there has been some changes down the bottom end of that top 10. None towards the top, though. It's still Lucas, Fulkus, Brown, Harris, And we got Fallon in 5th place. I think that may have been a change in the last couple of laps or so. Less than 2 minutes to go, and it looks like the track's just getting better every lap to me, but rain still falling steadily, and yes, we are getting better because Focus has just gone quickest, 59.574. Harris with a 59.704. The times are falling here. Nichols has come up to 4th place from about 10th place. Fallon's gone quicker in 6th as well, as is Truman Reddish, a personal best. Tate is up to 13th place. Mitchell up to 6th place there. Mark Mitchell with a 101.001. So Connor Lucas has to respond to this in 3rd place now, sitting about half a second back from pole.
Yeah, I think Focus and Harris were running around the track together as they both went in front of Lucas pretty much at the same time on the timing screen. And as we said, the track was getting better. I think the rain has come back. There's certainly more drops coming down than there was before, and I don't know whether that's going to prevent Lucas from improving his time. 52 seconds on the board, so those coming over the line now are going to have one chance. Lucas over the line, no improvement that time round.
Well, he did improve his time, but as you said, no improvement in position. 3rd place still, but he has decreased the gap ever so slightly to the leaders. In fact, the time's been reset, so I'm not too sure what happened there. But Reddish remains in 11th place. Dodson into the top 10, 8th place, 101.3. Fallon appears to have improved as well in terms of times, unless that's him just being marked as coming across the line. But Lucas did improve in time, and then the gap to the leaders went back to half a second. But we'll call it as we see it for now, and that's Focus from Harris and Lucas, your top 3, and that is time out and checkered flag falling.
It is the 64 over the line there, no improvement for Rob Lowe. He's 19th at present. Focus for his last effort comes over the line. An improvement from Focus. Lucas takes pole, provisional pole at the final on his final lap. A superb effort by Connor Lucas. Harris takes Focus for 2nd. They came over the line almost together. That's your top 4 so far. Brown was 4th, now 5th as Fallon goes up into 4th. The top 6 so far, 7 over the line. Mitchell is 8th. He's the next one over that could make a move up into. I think Gardner goes up to 7th, back down to 8th as Mitchell improves as well. So everybody from Jackman, I believe, he's just gone over an improvement in time but not position, starts 13th. And it looks like it could be set with another Connor Lucas pole position.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any more changes. That looks like everyone has come across the line. Certainly everyone in the top 20 has. And now anyone that's coming up to us is going to be going into the pit. So yet again, Connor Lucas is pole position, 3 out of 4 for the season, 59.221. I've got to say, placed himself absolutely perfectly on the last lap there. No one anywhere behind him, but he caught someone in front just as we got to the line. And Lucas, pole position, well, you can't really argue with that. Waited very late to do it, but Lucas in the end spoiling Focus's chances of going pole position for a 2nd time this season. However, I've got to say, things did look very, very close. We've seen that most in qualifying, but certainly that was a very close session, and I think we're going to see some very good racing if the conditions stay as they are. If they go dry, then Lucas may continue to dominate, but others will have things to say about that. Lucas then, 59.221. Sam Harris was 2nd. Brilliant performance from Sam Harris, 59.427. Focus 4.36 in 3rd. Fallon went up to 4th right at the end of the session there, so good job by Ben Fallon. David Brown came up to 5th at the end. Steve Nichols up to 6th. Mark Mitchell kept his 7th despite dropping to 8th briefly, as Daniel Gardner went up to 7th and then down to 8th. Scott Tate was 9th. Toby Dodson was 10th, and it was McDonald, Truman Reddish, Jackson, Mark Tate. Then we had Barker, Brewis, Brown, Richardson, Lowe, Adam Wood rounded out the top 20. Then it was Josh Mitchell, Kelly, Wilson, Harwood. And then we had Dow and Josh Eden at the back of the field. The field split by just under 7 seconds. But in terms of our leaders, top 4 split by only a second. So very, very close. And our top three, well, they were split by just 2/10. So certainly any one of those three, I'd say, could go out and take the win today. But don't discount the likes of Fallon, Brown, Nichols if we see some really close racing at the front. Well, we're going to be going into a bit of a break now. That's been our qualifying sessions. Thank you for joining us on the live stream so far. Hope you've enjoyed what you've been seeing. Pictures brought to you by Alpha Live, and stream also brought to you by NRG Cycles as well. It's the Teesside Sprint Series round 4. And after this break, we will be back to bring you some racing with the first set of heats, and they will be kicking off at 11:30. So join us from around 11:25, but it's goodbye for now.